What's up everybody, my name's Mark, I'm from Manchester in Great Britain. Today we're going to be taking you on a short walk around Lviv and we're going to be discussing some differences between Britain and Ukraine. We're going to be focusing on topics such as dating, clothing, food and even in the household, so come along with us for the journey. So guys, one of the things that surprised me here is Ukrainian supermarkets. Did you know in the UK there's a big emphasis on ready-made meals that you can just put straight in the microwave? Don't get me wrong, we have fresh fruits and vegetables. However, they tend to be seasonal, otherwise imported from around the world, such as places like Spain and Morocco. When I first come to Ukraine and see all the homegrown fruits and vegetables that you have on offer and the freshness of it, it takes me aback quite a lot and it's very, very delicious. My favorite Ukrainian dish is borscht. However, my favorite English dish is definitely an English crumpet. Okay guys, so in the UK, one of our favourite dishes is a roast beef dinner. Traditionally taken on a Sunday, it can comprise of meat such as chicken and beef. Some people will sometimes even branch out and have other types of meat such as gammon, maybe even a little bit of duck. We have some great vegetables with this as well, such as carrots, parsnips, roast potatoes, mashed potatoes, and sometimes people will take stuffing. People usually have stuffing more at Christmas, I believe. But when I come to Ukraine and see what you do with a vegetable here, it amazes me. The way you prepare your vegetables is absolutely brilliant. So when I get back to the UK, I'm going to be adding a little bit of a Ukrainian twist to my Sunday roast. Some of our favourite desserts in the UK after we've had our Sunday roast dinner, a lot of people like eaten mess. I've had it myself, it's quite nice. So after a Sunday roast, I'm quite partial to sponge cake with some custard, maybe some trifle. Some desserts I've had here in Ukraine are some cheesecake, and I love cheesecake. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about some traditional Ukrainian desserts. So guys, please leave a comment and let me know what Ukrainian desserts I need to try whilst I'm in Ukraine. We absolutely love eating food in the UK. We also have a big drinking culture. One of my favourite things about Ukraine is any pub you go into, with a beer, you can actually have a dry meat snack here in the pub. This isn't big in the UK. Too often, I will go to the pub in the UK and we have salty chips, otherwise known as crisps in Britain. My favourite thing here in Ukraine, other than the borscht, is definitely the dry meat snacks. Guys, if you're in Lviv, definitely check out some of the pubs here because they have some of the best dried meat snacks I've ever had. And that's coming from someone that's had beef jerky in the United States of America. Smajno. So guys, being British, obviously I love a good cup of tea. We have a saying in Britain, there's nothing that can't be solved with a nice cup of tea. However, contrary to popular belief, we don't drink all tea with milk. If it's chamomile, green tea, fruit tea, we tend to have without the milk. Traditionally, it's black tea we like to have with milk. Maybe some sugar. My preference is with a little bit of honey. So when I arrived in Ukraine, I had no idea just how awesome the tea culture here was. Don't get me wrong, Britain is still the undisputed champion when it comes to drinking tea. However, after trying tea from places like the Carpathian Mountains, it's no wonder why people love the Ukrainian chai, and it's fast becoming a favourite of mine. Guys, somewhat maybe a similarity, but also some comparisons to be had, is our market culture. We love going to markets in Britain. We get good price food, good price clothes, good prices on everything in a market. It's the same here in Ukraine. I just find that the markets aren't always open in the UK. In Ukraine, I find that they're open 6 days a week. One thing that I really like, as you can see from this video, is my band t-shirts. I tend to stock up on these before I come to Ukraine. I don't often find them in places. So again, if you can recommend anywhere for someone with my sort of taste to buy this sort of clothing, please let me know in the comments. So one of the things that shocks me a little bit about Ukraine is the cost of self-care products. You know, shower gel, shampoo, intimate wash, toothpaste, shaving cream. Not that I really need shaving cream, but you catch my drift. It's really expensive here in Ukraine for this stuff. It's a lot cheaper in Britain to buy these products than it is here in Ukraine. And when you compare our minimum wage differences, Ukraine is getting a much lower minimum wage than the UK. Guys, tell me your thoughts on this in the comments. One thing that I notice in Ukraine is how many pharmacies that you guys have over here. I can't walk around the street corner without seeing a pharmacy. We have pharmacies in the UK. One thing that I've noticed though is there is an abundance of pharmacies with lots of different medicines here, so you have easy access to medication when you need it. Also, I noticed that the pharmacies here tend to open later than they do in the UK. Guys, one of the things I really love here is the barbershops in Ukraine. In the UK, we have barbershops. We can get a cheap haircut in the UK. You can get a cheap haircut in Ukraine. But if you want to get what you're paying for, you're going to pay a little bit more money to get a premium service. I've noticed the premium service here in Ukraine is much better price than it is in the UK. But by the way, my hairdresser did not style my hair. I did this myself. So guys, they say Ukrainian women are the most beautiful women in the world, and I'm definitely not going to argue with this. I have noticed some comparisons between our dating cultures. It's not necessary in the UK for the man to pay for the woman on a first date in the UK. It's become quite normal in our culture for people to go Dutch, and sometimes even the woman will pay. Did you know, though, I've had a few dates here in Ukraine, and I've actually had a girl pay for me here before, so maybe Ukrainian culture is synchronizing with British culture a little bit in this regard. So let me tell you about my first Ukrainian date. In the UK, it will be quite normal for me to take a first date to the pub. However, Ukraine doesn't have quite the drinking culture that we have in the UK. So my date was quite fond of just grabbing a tea and a coffee and taking a nice walk with me. So guys, just remember, if you're dating a Ukrainian girl, don't try to get her drunk on the first date. So guys, when we're in the big bad world of dating, a lot of us use Tinder. Now, Tinder can be just for making friends, having a small date and seeing where it goes. Sometimes Tinder is for Netflix and chill. And what I've noticed here from dating in Ukraine is not everybody's going to want to have Netflix and chill with you on a first date. Okay guys, so we have our dating traditions in Britain and we have our dating traditions in Ukraine. I believe in the modern day that we are both working to break these traditions in the modern world, in a modern Europe. Let me give you an example. Obviously in the UK, it's traditional to Netflix and chill on a first date for many people. In what I've noticed here in Ukraine, it's not so traditional. However, for my comparison, I'm a very traditional guy. When I go on a date with a girl in the UK, I will pay. And here in Ukraine, I've been on dates and I have tried to pay. However, the girls have ended up paying for me. In the UK, I've not had Netflix and chill on the first date, but I have here in Ukraine. So ladies, I know you love a tall guy and you'll be glad to know that I'm 193 centimeters and that doesn't include the hair. However, in the UK, I'm not 193 centimeters. We actually measure our height in feet. In the UK, I would be 6'3". And did you know we do not weigh in pounds or kilograms? We're the only nation that I know on planet Earth that weighs in stones. There is 1 stone to 6.3 kilograms. I weigh about 73 kilograms myself, which is about 11.5 stone. Okay guys, so even though we're not at the start of the video, I'm going to say hello again and say how are you? Because in the UK, people will say, hello, how are you? And people will just respond, hello, yeah, I'm good, thanks, how are you? However, that person could be having a bad day, even if they respond in this way. It's very common in Britain to say hello and ask how somebody is doing and not be totally truthful about how their day is going. What I've noticed when I ask this question in Ukraine is when people don't know me, they feel uncomfortable answering this question after I say hello. So if you have a Ukrainian friend and you say hello and you ask them how they are doing, you need to be prepared for an honest answer. Okay guys, here I am standing, and guess what? I'm waiting for my Ukrainian friend to come and meet me. However, my Ukrainian friend is late. Guys, why do you do this to me? It's quite rude in British culture to be late for someone, you know, so please, if you have a meeting with me, please be on time. Guys, of course I am only joking, vybacte bud laska, but from my personal experience with my friends, this is true. Whilst the prices of supermarkets in Ukraine and Britain are actually very similar, there's a big difference between the prices of eating out in the hospitality sector, such as fast food and restaurants. I find restaurants here much cheaper than the UK, and I absolutely love that I can have a beer and a meal for less than 500 hryvnias, which is about 10 British pounds. In the UK, if you go out to eat at a restaurant, you better be prepared to pay double or triple this. Okay guys, so being from Britain, we're quite loudly spoken people. This has actually been a detriment to me here in Ukraine, because sometimes I found myself at the bar, at the restaurant, at the cafe, speaking in my normal tone of voice. I've noticed that in Ukraine, I should be a bit more soft-spoken in my tone when out in public. So I've just finished my delicious meal at the restaurant and the server comes over and gives me my bill. Now, before I get up and leave the table, my friend reminds me that I've not left a tip for the server. To be honest, guys, tipping is not big in the UK. We do not have a tipping culture. You can tip, some people do tip. It is never expected. However, with how delicious the Ukrainian food is, I'll always leave a tip for you. Okay folks, that's all the time we have for in this video. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to learn English, why not take one of our online classes with Green Forest School? I have another meeting to get to now, so I have to dash and I don't want to be late. But as always, дуже дякую for watching. До побачення!